The purpose of this video is to provide an overview of the steps involved in submitting an item to Sheffield Hallam University's evaluation repository, which showcases the evaluation activities that staff members and students carry out within the university. Staff and students involved in conducting evaluations have an active role in helping others to understand the evidence and its implications. Submitting evaluation items to this repository will enable others at Sheffield Hallam and across the sector to use the learning for their own practice. It also provides an opportunity for authors to gain greater recognition and visibility for their work, with evaluation items appearing on scholarly indexes such as Google Scholar. Before submitting, we encourage authors to look at the guidance available on the website, and if they have not already done so, arrange to speak with a member of STEER by contacting us at evaluationrepository@shu.ac.uk. This will provide an opportunity to ask any questions about the repository and to clarify any expectations about the submission process. There are no restrictions on the types of evaluation activities that are accepted, so it could be an evaluation report, a briefing, or perhaps something creative. However, it is important that the evaluation is communicated in a way that is credible and clear for audiences so that they can assess the evidence and determine whether it can inform their own practice. As a minimum, audiences should be able to understand what has been undertaken, why this has happened, and what change is being attributed to the activity, in addition to evidence to back any claims that are made. Each submission will be reviewed to ensure that it meets a set of expectations relating to evaluation practices, which are in place to ensure that the evidence base on the repository is relatively robust. These expectations are not lengthy and they are not too demanding, and they are designed to help establish good practice in the conduct of evaluation. Once a submission has been made, it will initially be screened to ensure that the submission is broadly suitable for inclusion. Items must only be submitted which are the work of the author. It must be written in English, and the evaluation, either in its current phase or its entirety, must have been completed, and the evaluation item must not have been published elsewhere. Following the initial screening, the content of the submission will be checked more thoroughly by a reviewer. Within the submission and any outputs, there should be an overview of what is being evaluated, including the issue that is being addressed, and the reasons why the evaluation is needed. The goals that the initiative is trying to achieve and the changes that are anticipated should be outlined, as well as a description of what is being done to achieve those changes. Reference should be made to existing evidence that has underpinned the decisions about what is being done and why, to show that the intended changes are realistic and feasible. If there is an absence of evidence, authors will need to outline their assumptions about how they believe the initiative will work. Finally, the key evaluation questions that the evaluation is attempting to answer should be specified. For example, is it focused on how an initiative has been implemented? Is it focused on the changes that result from the initiative? Is it both of these, or is it something else? Details should be provided about the methodology, which is the justification for the methods that are used to carry out the evaluation. There should be clear communication of the data collection methods, the analytical approach, and the data sources used in the evaluation, and it should be sufficiently detailed to allow others to understand what's taking place. There should also be a description provided of the procedures in place for addressing ethical considerations. For example, consent, transparency, right to withdraw, privacy and data storage, and disclosure. If you didn't collect data from participants and used evidence from elsewhere, you still need to demonstrate ethical considerations, such as transparency in procedures and how you decided what to include or exclude in your searches. The findings should address all of the questions and be based on the evidence derived from data collection and the analysis. The findings need to be supported by and respond to the evidence presented and cover both the expected and the unexpected results in a way that will help audiences understand the analysis. If you've used evidence from more than one source of evidence, or have used more than one method, then you'll need to explain how the findings have been triangulated within the presentation of the results. Finally, the conclusions that you are making should be appropriate to the strength of evidence that has been generated. Any conclusions should be supported by the evidence presented and connected to the evaluation findings, and they should be linked back to the original issue that was being addressed. It may also be helpful for the conclusions to provide insight into the potential implications of the future of the initiative and to make recommendations about how the initiative could be improved or how it may continue. In the next step, authors are required to outline the key details of the evaluation and to upload any relevant outputs, such as a report, by submitting an online form. Within the form, authors will need to provide some basic information about their evaluation, including its title and the proposed abstract, in addition to indicating whether the submission relates to a specific stage of the student life cycle and whether the evaluation is based on evidence of impact that has been collected elsewhere, or if they have collected their own evidence. At the end of the form, they will be asked to upload any relevant documentation, such as the outputs. As I just mentioned, the content of the submission will be reviewed once the online form has been completed. The reviewer will be a member of staff at the university who is experienced in undertaking evaluations, and they will be asked to follow a set of guidelines to review the submission. Once a decision has been made, the author will be notified of the outcome by email. In the event that the reviewer has identified any areas where the evaluation expectations have not been met, the author will have the opportunity to resubmit or provide further information. If there is a disagreement about the outcome, both the reviewer and the author will have the option to escalate the review to the head of Research and Evaluation to resolve the matter. If the submission is accepted, the item will be uploaded onto the evaluation repository, and the author will be notified by email when this has happened. At this point, the evaluation will have a unique page on the site that will display its details, and it will appear on external scholarly indexes, which will help audiences use the learning for their own practice.